dim, steady glow, bringing voices to the silenced, where justice must go. Late nights with Des, where the truth comes alive. In the quiet she fights for the missing to survive. She brings their stories, their names to the light. Late nights with Des, in the heart of the night. A cup of coffee, the clock strikes 2. She digs through the past, finding what's true. Faces on the screen, lives torn in two. But she won't rest till the answers come through. Late nights with Des, where the truth comes alive. In the quiet she fights for the missing to survive. She brings their stories, their names to the light. Late nights with Des, in the heart of the night.
Hello everyone. Today is July 19th. It's currently 10:05. I am late to the party. I forgot I had the live set late. I was waiting. I was like, what time was I supposed to go live? I forgot it was 10. But a few things before I get into it. I forgot what I was gonna say. I forgot what I was gonna say, honestly. But yeah. We got new music added to the channel. Why am I little? Wait. I'm supposed to be big. Why am I little? Why am I in a corner? I don't know what's going on. But we got new music added to the channel. So we're gonna start playing some music now. I mean, I kind of really didn't want to, but I feel like it adds oomph to my channel. I don't know how to add my original video I had. It deleted. Thanks for StreamYard. Thanks, StreamYard. You're always deleting my stuff. So I was like, might as well let's just go live. Let's talk a little bit about Casey Anthony. I am gonna come live again on Monday, just because I heard Stephen Stearns has like a plea hearing going on this Monday. So I do want to go live and I do want to talk about that. And then from there, I should have when part 2, Casey Anthony and other cases are going to come forward. I was going to go live Wednesday and Thursday, but I got super busy. So it's like, I'll go live Saturday and we'll do a little stream. So today we're going to talk about Casey Anthony and who Casey Anthony is. If you don't know who Casey Anthony is, she is wicked. She's a wicked person. Besides Casey Anthony, I think Jodi Arias is a wicked person as well. So we're going to be talking about Casey Anthony tonight. But before I do that, I do have to do my disclaimer. Everything I say is all alleged in my opinion. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. I get my sources from trusted resources, news stations, very well vetted sources. I am not responsible for anyone else's actions, commentary, what they do, things like that. But yeah, let's get this live going. I kind of want to make it like a short little live. We're just going to talk about like the background of who Casey Anthony was and what she did. I do want to do a live dedicated to the trial as well. That'll be part part 2. Like I said, I have to set a date because on part 2, I do want to do like phone calls and like what you guys think about this. Join my Discord because that's the only way I'll be able to take phone calls. I'm still kind of learning how to mess with things. But okay, where is she? There she is. Now, if you don't know who Casey Anthony was, we are going to talk about her. We're going to talk about a little bit of her. This happened back in 2008, 2009. I remember when this case happened, it was like all over the world. It was all over the news. People were like, oh my God, you know, what happened to Caylee Anthony? Caylee Anthony is Casey Anthony's daughter. She was little when this had happened. But I do want to give a huge, huge, huge shout out to Crime Timeline for always providing the greatest facts and everything on cases that I do. If you are a true crimer or getting into the true crime community, I suggest you get with Crime Timelines, and you can find some cases, some recent cases, some cold cases, missing persons. You can find anything on here. But yeah, shout out to Crime Timeline. So let's talk about Casey Anthony. So Casey Marie Anthony, she was born on March 19th of 1986 in Warren, Ohio, to Cindy and George Anthony. Cindy and George Anthony, when this case goes on in the trial, those two names, even till today, are really big in the community because allegedly people think that Cindy and George Anthony, who is Casey Anthony's parents, had something to do with baby Caylee. She grew up with her older brother Lee as a child. Casey was often described as bright, personable, but different. But during high school, a pattern of dishonesty became apparent. One notable instant was when she convinced her family she was set to graduate, only for them to later discover she was several credits short. At 19, Casey became pregnant. Initially denying her pregnancy, she later admitted the truth to her parents. The identity of Caylee's father remains unknown. On August 9th of 2005, she gave birth to her daughter, Caylee Marie Anthony. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Caylee Anthony and her family. So let's talk about the background. So in September of 1951, George, who is Casey's father, was born. And then a few years later, June 1958, Cindy, who is Casey's mom, was born. On March 20th of 1981, George and Cindy, they married. After meeting in the hospital, they met in the hospital. November of 1982, Lee Anthony was born, who is Casey's brother. And then, of course, March of 1986, Casey was born. They did go through some struggles. I mean, they were like any other family who went through struggles, financial struggles, things like that. Okay, so this is going to talk about Casey's teenage years. So in 2004, Casey did withdraw from high school because she was failing to graduate because she was short of credits. From 2004 to 2006, Casey worked for Event Imaging Solutions, which is Kodak at Universal. December of 2004, Caylee is likely conceived. 2005, Casey tells a friend, Kia Marie Crew, she's considered giving Caylee up for adoption, but of course, Cindy didn't want that to happen. So it's going to talk a little bit about baby Caylee's life. August of 2005, Caylee was born. August 18th, a DNA test confirms Jesse Brud is not the father. From 2005 to 2007, various rumors surfaced that Kaylee's father, including that he was in the military and he passed away in a car accident. So basically, I don't know if they've ever said who Caylee Anthony's father is. I don't think they ever did. But Casey was going through some struggles as well. From 2005 to 2006, she dated these three men. In 2006, she gets engaged, and then they later break up with Jesse Grudd. In 2007, Casey allegedly has a miscarriage from her relationship with Brandon. And then from late 2007 to 2008, Casey steals money from her family to pay bills and personal expenses. And then, of course, you know, she's going through struggles. Casey herself. Late 2007, Cindy finds out Casey stole over $4,500 from their credit cards. April of 2008, Cindy considers kicking Casey and Caylee out after discussing her behavior with a counselor. May 2008, Casey starts looking for a house with her friend Amy. So before we get to what happened to baby Caylee, I'm trying to see. Okay, I think I have videos in my Discord. I know a lot of people wanted me to talk about this case. I know she's currently back on TikTok, from what I'm assuming, and she's telling the world her story from her point of view. But I'm like, hey, because some people don't know who Casey Anthony is, I'm like, hey, let's talk about Casey Anthony and let's remind people who she really was. You know what I'm saying? And all the lies and the things she did. Okay, I don't have the video. Okay. I think that's for part 2, the video I'm talking about. So now we're going to do in the timeline of June 2008. That very year when Caylee Marie Anthony went missing. Now, at the time when Caylee Marie went missing, a lot of people were like, you know, what happened to her? Xanny the nanny was then introduced. Many other things, pictures of where Casey was going out and partying and not looking for her daughter. The rumors of George and Cindy being involved in the disappearance of Caylee Anthony. It was a whole, excuse my language, it was a whole fucking shit show. Literally, it was the biggest shit show ever because everyone was assuming, everyone was like, you know, where's Caylee? So shout out to Crime Timeline for making the timeline of it. So June 9th of 2008, Casey and Caylee stayed at Ricardo's house. Remind you, Ricardo was someone Casey Anthony was involved with. She had a relationship with him. So from what people have said. June 10th of 2008, Ricardo sees Caylee for the last time. June 11, 2008, Casey changes her relationship status to in a relationship with Tony Lazzaro. Mind you, she dated 3 guys. I got no clue. June 12th to 2008, Casey tells friend she's moving out soon. June 13th, Casey tells her friend Amy that she can't go to Jacksonville because her dad had a mini stroke, which was a lie. June 15th of 2008, Cindy and Caylee visit Cindy's father for Father's Day. Last confirmed sighting of Caylee. So on June 10th, Ricardo saw Kaylee for the last time. And then on Father's Day, which would be June 15th, Cindy and George saw Kaylee the last time. That would be the last confirmed time that they said they saw her. Allegedly, so they say, because I know there's people that are going to come in this comments and be like, oh, they had some involvement. We don't know that. It's all alleged. It's all in our opinion due to legal purposes. So June 16th is a very big key day. So around 12:50, George Anthony sees Casey and Kaylee leave the house with backpacks. Between 4:11 to 4:25, Casey frantically calls several people. So at 5:57, Casey arrives at Tony Lazzaro's apartment. 7:58, Casey and Tony rent movies at Blockbuster. Kaylee is not with them. Overnight, Casey stays with Tony. So the reason they say this is a big key, because they think this is when the alleged, when this all started, where she went missing, was of June 16, 2008. Because as you can see here, she and her boyfriend, they're renting movies at Blockbusters, but of course the little girl's not with her. And then between the time frame of 4:11 to 4:25, she's frantically calling like different people. So if you don't know, Caylee Anthony was tragically murdered. She was red-rummed. So the case of Casey Anthony and the death of her daughter, Caylee Anthony, captivated national attention due to its complex and controversial nature. So there's a timeline. So these are the events leading up to Kaylee's disappearance. Of course, Father's Day was June 15. That would be the last day that George and Cindy said that they saw baby Kaylee. So Kaylee visits her great-grandfather, at the nursing home with Cindy. Cindy takes the last known photograph of Kaylee. Kaylee and Cindy return home and swim in the backyard pool. Casey spends the day with her boyfriend, Tony Lazzaro. The next day, at 12:50, Casey leaves her parents' house with Kaylee, and her father, George, saw that. 4 o'clock, Casey's phone records show she remained in the area for hours before leaving. 7:54 p.m., Casey is seen at a Blockbuster video store with Tony. Kaylee is not with her. Casey tells her parents that Kaylee is staying with her nanny, Zenaida Gonzalez. No evidence of Zanny's existence is ever found. So this is where the infamous Zanny the nanny comes into play. If you don't remember, when Casey was like, oh, the nanny, the nanny took her, the nanny did this, Zanny the nanny, things like that. As we can already tell from her early years, her early life, Casey Anthony was a manipulative liar. She's stole money from her parents. She's lied to her parents. She's lied to other people. So she knows that maybe she can get away with it. But little does she know she cannot. That the truth will come out against her. June 7th of 2008, Casey stays at Tony's apartment most of the day, 2:45 to 4:30. Casey is at her parents' house with her car backed into the garage. She borrows a shovel from her neighbor, Brian. Casey continues telling her mother that Kaylee is with Zanny. And another thing, like, why? I've never heard a nanny named Zanny. Zanny the nanny, like, that gives me vibes of, like, the DRUGS, how do I say it without getting Xanax? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it gives me that type of vibe. Like, I don't know, Zanny the nanny, really? June 18th, Casey again backs her car into the garage at her parents' house. She borrows a shovel from Brian for an hour, which is her neighbor. She tells Cindy she's at a conference in Tampa. Casey Anthony informed her mother that she was going on a work trip to Busch Gardens theme park in Tampa, Florida. She claimed that she would be bringing Kaylee along with Zanny, watching her while she attended meetings. Tony Lazaro confirms Kaylee was never at his apartment. During the supposed 6-day trip, Cindy Anthony received no contact from Casey, despite leaving multiple voicemails messages. When Casey finally returned her call, she told Cindy that Danny had been in a serious car accident, leaving them stuck in the hospital, which prevented her and Kaylee from coming home. June 19th, George Anthony reported the death of multiple gas cans from his shed in Orange County, or to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Later, Cindy Anthony mentioned the incident to Casey Anthony over the phone. In response, Casey claimed that she had returned to Orlando that same afternoon to receive insurance information and coordinate with Zanny's family regarding her hospitalization. She also stated that she briefly stopped at home to gather some belongings before heading back to Tampa. Uncertain of when she would return, during the conversation, Casey admitted to stealing the gas cans. Casey spends the day at Tony's apartment and looks for an apartment for him. June 20th, Cindy continues pressing Casey about Kaylee's whereabouts. Casey claims she's still at the conference in Tampa. That night, Casey enters a quote-unquote hot body contest at Fusion nightclub. So June 21st to the 22nd, which would be the weekend, Casey continues claiming she's in Tampa, tells a friend that Kaylee is at the beach. Cindy continues demanding to see Kaylee. June 23rd, Casey runs out of gas and breaks into her parents' shed with Tony to steal gas cans. Cindy still insists on seeing Kaylee, but Casey claims her babysitter was in a car accident. June 24th, George Anthony notices the lock on the shed is broken. Reports to the police. Casey arrives home and aggressively hands George the stolen gas cans, cursing at him. June 25th, Casey tells her friend Amy that her car smells like something died in it. June 27th, Casey abandons her white Pontiac Sunfire at the Amscot parking lot near a dumpster. Calls Tony to pick her up. Casey throws out a bag of items from a refrigerator. That night she goes to the nightclub. June 30th, Casey's car is towed from Amscot to Johnson Wrecker. Cindy Anthony is on vacation and keeps insisting to see Kaylee. Casey stays at her ex-fiance Jesse's apartment. She tells her mom that Kaylee is with a woman named Jennifer Rosa. July 3rd, Cindy drives to Universal Studios to find Kaylee, but is told by Casey that they are in Jacksonville. Cindy creates a MySpace post titled "My Kaylee is Missing." Casey parties at Lake Elua fireworks with her friends. Cindy Anthony anticipates Casey Anthony would return home after the 4th of July weekend. However, Casey claimed that the car troubles during an out-of-town trip left her stranded in Jacksonville, Florida, preventing her from coming home. She remained in Jacksonville till July 14th. July 5th, Casey claims she will return home on July 12th because her car broke down in Jacksonville. July 10th through the 12th, she's clubbing at Fusion. July 15th will be day 30 since Kaylee was last seen. So during this whole time that, quote-unquote, Casey was saying that Kaylee was with all these different people, she was partying it up. She was living it up. She was not giving a care in the world what was going on. She was doing whatever she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Hang on, guys. She was doing whatever she wanted to do. She didn't care. She was doing whatever. Even her mom went to the point of making a MySpace page saying "My Kaylee is missing." She wanted to know where her grandbaby is at, just like how any grandma would want, any grandfather, anybody would want to do that. So July 15th, George and Cindy receive Casey's abandoned car from the tow yard. George Anthony received the letter that placed Anthony's vehicle in an Orlando tow yard, not in Jacksonville at all. Cindy Anthony, who then tried calling and texting Anthony regarding a major problem that she had, needed to discuss with her immediately. Cindy Anthony and George Anthony received the car. The trunk smelled of decomposition. They called 911 multiple times. Growing increasingly concerned, Cindy decided to contact Amy, who is the friend and former co-worker of Casey, to inquire about Casey and Kaylee. Amy confirmed that Casey was not in Jacksonville, that she had claimed, but was instead staying with her boyfriend Anthony in Orlando. Cindy Anthony drove to Lazaro's apartment, where she confronted Casey and demanded to see Kaylee. Casey reluctantly agreed, and the two set off in the car. She refused to reveal their destination, aimlessly driving Cindy around. Frustrated and alarmed, Cindy Anthony called the police on her daughter during the drive. Casey tells her family Kaylee was kidnapped by Zanny, the nanny. Casey claims she dropped Kaylee off at Sawgrass Apartments. Police determined no one lived in the apartment since February of 2008. Casey was arrested for lying to police. At last, Casey confessed that Kaylee had been missing for 31 days and claimed that Zanny the nanny had taken Kaylee from her as a punishment for being a bad mother, but insisted that she had spoken to Kaylee on the phone that very day, July 15th. When the 911 operator asked why she had waited so long to report her daughter missing, Casey responded, "I have been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try finding her, which was stupid." Cindy Anthony reports Kaylee missing, stating she hasn't seen her granddaughter for 31 days and noting a strong odor in Casey's car that she describes as smelling like there has been a dead body in the damn car. I will get the 911 calls. I'll play that in part 2. July 16, cadaver dogs alerted to decomposition in Kaylee's car in the Anthony backyard. The Anthony backyard. Casey is arrested for providing false information to investigators, including a fabricated story about a nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez kidnapping Kaylee. July 17th, forensics test confirmed a decomposed body was in Casey's trunk. And then July 22nd, a bond hearing for Casey is declared as a person of interest. The hearing introduces evidence that cadaver dog had detected a odor of human decomposition in the trunk and in the Anthony's backyard. Ron Kronk, who is a meter reader, calls the Orange County Sheriff's Office, reporting a suspicious gray bag in a wooded area off Suburban Drive. The deputies respond, but does not thoroughly investigate. Kronk calls OCSO again, reporting the same gray bag in the woods. Deputy Elizabeth Collins responds, but does not enter the wooded area. Kronk calls for the third time and meets with Deputy Richard Kane, who briefly searches the area but does not find anything. Kane tells Kronk it's just trash. Well, here's my thing. This is happening in... Oh, hang on. What did I click? Hang on. Here's the thing. This guy, Kronk, is calling 3 times because he's saying there's a suspicious gray bag in the wooded area. He's a meter reader, right? Meter readers see anything. Like, they see things, when they're reading the meters. He's telling 3 different officers, hey, I see a gray bag. He calls the next one, hey, the gray bag is still here. He calls for a 3rd time, hey, this gray bag that I've called multiple times is still here. And they're like, it's just trash. It's just trash. Because it's in a wooded area. So to police, they're like, oh, it's nothing. It's just trash. But to him, it's a suspicious bag. Now, I don't know why the officers didn't go and open the bag and see what was in it. But if someone is saying there's a suspicious bag, a gray bag, you should probably go investigate it. Whether it's trash or not, it's better to be safe than sorry. These officers from the get-go, already fucked up. There's red flag number 1. They should have gone and looked to see what was in that gray bag. August 20th of 2008, California bounty hunter Leonardo Palladia posts Casey's $500,000 bond, hoping she will lead them to Kaylee. August 30th, the bond is recited after Casey's arrest for allegedly stealing and cashing checks from a friend, induced the angry crowds demonstrating outside Anthony's home. September of 2008, computer searches revealed Casey looked up chloroform and neck breaking in March 2008. The police investigate Casey's internet searches, including searches for chloroform, neck breaking, household weapons. October 14th, the grand jury indicts Casey on charges of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, and providing false information to law enforcement. Her father, George Anthony, testified before the grand jury that indicted Casey. So we will talk about the trials as well in part 2. Hang on. Okay. October 24th, forensic reports from an examination of Casey's car are released, noting that a hair strand discovered in the trunk is microscopically similar to those found on Kaylee's brush and showed a characteristic of apparent decomposition. Additionally, an air sample from the trunk found that contained compounds consist with human decomposition. December 11th, Roy Kronk calls 911 again after noticing a small human skull in the wooded area of Suburban Drive. Deputies Tirso and Porter arrived to confirm the skeletal remains. Crime scene established forensic team recovers a skull with duct tape attached to the mandible, trash bags, laundry bags, and a child's blanket. December 19th, DNA testing confirmed that the remains belonged to Caylee Anthony. Duct tape covered the mouth of the remains. However, because the body has been left to decompose for a long time, no tests were able to discern Caylee Anthony's cause of death. Internal investigation launched into Deputy Richard Kane's failure to investigate Kronk's August reports. Kane is found guilty of unsatisfactory performance and untruthfulness. So later on, a few months later, Kronk, he calls 911 because he ended up finding a human skull, a small skull, in the same spot that the gray bag was when he called a few months back. When he called 3 times and 3 police officers went out and failed to check. Now, one of the officers ended up getting charges. He was found guilty of unsatisfactory performance and untruthfulness. Like I said, even though you know, you go out there and to you it might not be anything. Kronk is calling because he's like, yo, it's a suspicious bag, like come check this out. Even if police didn't want to check it out, or they're like, I feel like I'm gonna waste my time, like, no, you should have checked it out, because like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. If it's trash, hey, too bad, it's trash. But to Kronk, he's like, no, I don't think this is just trash. This is something else. And these officers are like, no, it's trash. I think these officers should have looked at it when he first called 911. Maybe then, Kaylee's, if it was allegedly, I'm pretty sure it is, Kaylee, they would have had evidence of what happened to her then. But a few months later, he called again, and it is remains of Caylee Anthony, and they couldn't really do any DNA testing because her body had decomposed already. She's just bones. But it's something. This happened in Florida? I mean, look what happened with Madeline Soto. It was a whole circus with Madeline Soto. I'm pretty sure there's other cases that happened out in Florida where it was a whole circus. Okay. So now, I think I have some documents. If it loads. So these are Casey Anthony's indictments. She was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, providing false information to law enforcement, She had 4 counts of providing false information to a law enforcement officer. So, count 1. She was charged with the capital murder of Kaylee Marie Anthony, who was her daughter. Count 2, she caused great bodily harm, permanent disfigurement, or permanent disability to Kaylee Marie, a child under 18 years of age, by intentionally inflicting physical injury upon Kaylee, or by intentionally committing an act or actively encouraging another person to commit the act, which could reasonably be expected to result in physical injury to Kaylee Marie. She was charged with, aggravated child abuse. The next one, she was charged with aggravated manslaughter to a child, which would be count 3. And then counts 5, 6, and 7, she was charged with lying to deputies. So this is her report. This is her mugshot. Let's remind people who Casey Anthony really was. You think she's an advocate, trying to bring justice for her daughter? No, the fuck she's not. This is her. This is the chick that went out partying, who claimed her baby was with all these different people, but really, she killed her child, threw her in the trunk, went and threw her lifeless little body in the woods where she decomposed, where a meter reader found her tiny little skull years later. And let's not forget that the police officers didn't go and check out the bag that the meter reader said that he saw. They left Kaylee there like trash. She treated Kaylee like trash. She threw her like trash. She searched up chloroform and how to kind of like neck. What was it? It was like neck, something to do with the neck, and household weapons. Let's remind people who Casey Anthony really is. You think that she's this person that you're glorifying all over TikTok? No. Let's remind these people who the fuck Casey Anthony was. There's mothers like her in this world that piss me the fuck off. Casey Anthony being number 1. Number 2, Jennifer Soto. Number 3, Gabriel Fernandez's mom. I can go on and on and on about all these mothers who killed their children or knew of things that were happening to their children. Jennifer Soto's on there is because she's a piece of shit. I feel like she knew stuff was going on to Madeline Soto. And this is baby Kaylee Marie Anthony. It's the stuff like this that like boils my blood. Sunnyside, hello. She makes me ill. She makes me ill too. Okay. So, let me see. This is what I want to talk about. So, Dr. Vass is a research scientist at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Dr. Vass has been doing research since 2002 in an attempt to identify the chemical composition of human decomposition odor. Excuse me. Dr. Vaz concluded that a portion of the total odor signature identified in the Florida vehicle trunk is consistent with a decompositional event that could have been human origin. So basically, this doctor, he confirmed that, hey, there's been a dead body in this trunk. That's why it smells. So who knows how long Casey had left Kaylee's body in the trunk. I'm pretty sure more than a few days for it to have a smell of when something is dead. I mean, the mother said it herself. They opened the trunk and she said it smelled like decomposition, like a body was in there. She even told a friend, I think, Casey even told a friend, like, hey, my trunk smells like dead body, Well, I wonder why, Casey, because you put your daughter's body in there. Stupid. Like, oh my God. On July 15, 2008, at 45 hours, Sergeant Reggie Housey notified me about a report of a missing child. This child was later identified as Caylee Anthony. The date of birth was August 9, 2006. The initial report included the child was last seen at 2863 South Conway Road, around apartment 210 on June 9, 2008, between 9 o'clock and 1300 hours. According to the child's mother, Casey Anthony, the child was last left with the babysitter named, obviously, Zanny the nanny, who never existed, at the above South Conway Road address since June 9th. Casey claims she had not been able to locate Zanny or her child. She never reported the child missing to law enforcement. She never reported her missing because, let me tell you the truth, she was out partying. She didn't care. She claimed that she had not been able to locate, next one. She reported the missing child. She never reported the missing child to law enforcement. Cynthia reported this after the child had not been seen for over a month. Cynthia found Casey and brought her home after her car. Who's Cynthia? Is that her mom? Was her mom named Cynthia? I think it was. I thought it was Cindy. Brought her home after the car Casey was driving, a white 98 Pontiac bearing Florida tag, was found abandoned and towed on June 30th. Corporal Randon Fletcher and Deputy Adriana Acevedo had gone to the South Conway Road address and met with management, who told them the apartment Casey showed them had been vacant for 142 days, so since February 29th. I mean, I'll tell you the truth right here. Zanny the nanny never existed. She never was looking for Caylee because she was out partying, and there was confirmed pictures at the time where she was literally out with people partying. She was not giving a single fly. She was just doing her thing. She didn't care about her daughter. She knew where her daughter was. She killed her daughter. She knew where she was. She dumped her. Hello. Being the on-call missing person investigator, I was notified of this incident and asked to respond. After briefing my supervisor, Sergeant John Allen, I responded to 4937 Hope Spring Drive to begin my investigation. I first met with Casey inside the residence and spoke with her alone and away from other family members. Besides asking for a recorded statement, I reviewed her original 4-page written sworn statement and asked if it was her version of what happened. She said it was. I told her that the incident was very suspicious and her version suspect. I gave her an opportunity to tell me something different, but she claimed her written version was true and accurate. I then conducted a recorded interview with Casey. So this is a detective who interviewed Casey. I don't know if they have her written statement on here, but I can definitely find it and show you. So at the beginning of this recorded interview, I again gave Casey the chance to change her version of events. Okay. You're saying that everything contained in these statements are true and accurate. Yes. Also, before I turn on the recorder, I gave you a chance because I wanted to explain what happened if you made a false report or if there's something about this incident that you're not telling us the truth of. And I wanted to make sure I made it perfectly clear that if you wanted to go ahead and resign this statement, And if you want to tell me a different story about what happened, you're basically, if you're trying to fabricate a story to kind of make something a little bit better, it's not. It's now it's your time to tell me. Are you telling me that this is the story you want to stick with? That's the truth. It's the story. I'm going to stick with it. Yes. During our interview, Casey says she lived in the address on Hope Spring Drive until June 9th, 2008. On June 9th, she left to go to work at Universal Studios. She left with her daughter, Kaylee, between 9 and 13 hours. While en route to work, she says she stopped at 2863 South Conway Road, apartment 210, and met with Zanny, the nanny, who babysits Kaylee. She left Kaylee with Zanny at the stairwell to that building that leads to the apartment 210. She says she known Zanny for 4 years. Zanny had watched Kaylee for the past 1.5 years. Casey left work around 1700 hours, came to pick up Kaylee. She said she had got no answer at the door. She tried Zanny's cell phone number and got no answer. She then started to go places that Zanny was known to frequently, but didn't locate Zanny or Kaylee. Casey says she was pacing and worrying and went to her boyfriend's house where she felt safe. She identified her boyfriend as Anthony. Since June 9th, Casey says she's done her own investigation in trying to find her daughter. She claims she's gone to clubs Zanny known to frequently and hoped to see her or her daughter. She never called the police to report child disappearance. Casey says she's seen movies and reports of missing people getting hurt if police got involved. She only called tonight after her mother confronted her with the whereabouts of the child and Casey's versions of events. What? What? She's seen in movies and reports of missing people getting hurt if police got involved. Doofus, you have to get the police involved no matter what. Like, oh my God. Casey says she had told 2 people about her missing child. Both were co-workers at Universal Studios. She identified them as Jeffrey Hopkins and Juliette Lewis. She said they could confirm her story. When I asked about their phone numbers, she said she didn't have them. Casey indicated she had lost her phone at Universal, and the phone had their numbers as well as that of Zanny. In her interview, Casey said, when was the last time you spoke with him, which would be Jeffrey, about a week ago? Okay. Do you know a telephone number for him? I can find a number for him. I don't know a number offhand. No, I don't. You mentioned something before we went on tape about your cell phones. Yes, I have 2 phones. I received a new one through work. And then through Universal, it won't keep charge. So I use my old phone, and I actually had gotten again through Universal for work. Okay, did you lose a phone? Yes. Was it your personal phone? It was my personal phone, but I also use it for business. Okay, what's the number for the phone you lost? And then she said the number, it's the same. Do you keep the same number? Yes, it's still. You lost the phone, the same number. I lost the phone. And in the phone, you're saying it was a SIM card, and the SIM card had the contact information. Actually, the SIM card is in my Nokia phone, but I know there's numbers saved in the cell phone itself. So if you get the actual phone, I know I have the other. So just to remind you, the Q is the detective and the A is Casey. But I mean, she's lying. Like, you can tell she's lying. She's a full-blown liar. In my opinion, she belongs in prison rotting away. Honestly, yeah, I don't even know why she's walking free like nothing happened. Like, I heard that she had to change her name and move to a different state. And now she's like married to a married guy, and I got no clue. Now she's all over TikTok talking about what happened to her daughter and how she wants justice for her daughter. Girl, the justice your daughter's gonna get is you behind bars. Like, hello? Oh my God. That's why I wanted to do this case, to remind people. Oh, okay. Oh, so it goes on. I know I have another number for Zanny and probably a number for Jeff besides work numbers and blah blah blah. If they're not in your SIM card, they're not saved on the SIM card, they're saved on the phone. I've been trying to figure out on that new phone how to save numbers from the phone to the SIM card and switch them back and forth, so that way I have everything all in one piece. Okay, so the phone where you have the number saved was lost. Yes, I filed an incident report. Well, how did you end up keeping the SIM card? I had taken it out. I knew I left my phone on my desk at work after I switched the SIM card back to my old phone because this was the phone that I actually would keep charged. I want to be able to have a working phone instead of having a phone that would stay only charged for about an hour and a half and that it would die and I can't make any more calls. It's for me not practical. So after you switch the SIM cards on the phone, what I left, I know I left it on my desk. I hadn't been at work for at least 3 or 4 days. And you said you made the report to Universal, or yes, with security. When was that? 9 days ago. 9 days ago, yes. That's a lie. My thing is, you took the SIM card out of the lost phone. You lost the phone, but you have the SIM card. Stupid. The numbers are going to save to the SIM card. They're not going to save directly to the phone. Oh my God. Jesus. After our interview concluded, Casey agreed to show me the last 3 known locations for Zanny in hopes I identified her. Casey rode with me to an unmarked car to meet with the marked unit and other deputy sheriff to attempt contact with one of these locations. We first went to the corner of Glenwood and Robertson, where she pointed out a building in the northwest corner. She pointed at the second floor window and said, Zanny, had lived in the apartment early 2006 to mid 2006. When she moved into another house owned by Zanny's mother, Gloria. The building she pointed at was later identified as 301 North Hillside Drive, a seniors-only facility. Casey said the apartments were 3 stories and the window above Zanny's belonged to Zanny's roommate. As a note, the initial responding deputies had found a handwritten note in the address of 232 Glenwood in Casey's car prior to my arrival. This address was directly across the building she just pointed to me. There's the building. Then we went to 2863 South Conway Road. 210 confirmed that it was the same apartment she showed the deputies earlier that night where she had left the child on June 9th. She confirmed that was the apartment. When we went to the crossings at Conway, a townhome community near Michigan Avenue and South Conway Road, this is where Zanny's mother allegedly owned the condo where Casey claims she dropped off her child several times between mid-2006 to early 2007. We rode through the complex down every street, but Casey says she couldn't remember what the address was. We knocked at 3 different addresses, making contact with 3 different tenants, all of which did not know Zanny or her mother, Gloria. Casey was told to let me know if anyone looked familiar. I spoke with them. Casey said no one I spoke with looked familiar to her. She said she didn't remember the exact house, claiming she stopped paying attention to which one it was since she came here so many times. Girl, you're leaving your child with somebody. Of course, you're going to pay attention and know which freaking place it is and the number and everything. I dropped Casey off at her residence of Hope Springs, telling her I would call her if I needed anything. Prior to leaving, I was approached by her father, George, who stressed his concerns about his daughter is holding back information. He stated he and his wife, Cynthia, Casey's mother, feared something may have happened to Kaylee. As a note, when I asked about Kaylee's father, Casey could only tell me that his name was Eric and that he died in a motorcycle vehicle accident in Georgia in mid to late 2007. She claimed she had an obituary at one point, but couldn't recall where she put it. Cynthia later confirmed this to be the story that Casey told her about her child's father. I thought it was Cindy. Is it not Cindy? Is it Cindy and George? Or is it Cynthia and George? Who's Cynthia? I thought it was Cindy. Is her mom named not Cindy? Cynthia? I'm sure it's Cynthia. Not Cynthia. Cindy. What? Now I'm getting confused. Cynthia and... God damn it. Cindy and George. Not Cynthia and George. Cindy is her name, right? Casey Anthony's mom's name is Cindy. Who's Cynthia? What the heck? Who's Cynthia? I met with Sergeant John Allen and told him on what had transpired thus far. From there, I went to 2863 South Conway Road. I met with Dave Turner and Amanda Macklin. Neither claimed to know any Zanny. They were shown a photo of the missing child, Kaylee, and no one recognized her. They confirmed that the apartment Casey mentioned had been vacant for 142 days. Dave Turner let me into the apartment. I confirmed it was vacant. They then ran several names, including Gloria, Jennifer, and Raquel. Oh, why is it going like that? And found a Zenaida Gonzalez who had came to look at an apartment on June 17th. She was never a tenant. She had never done anything more than fill out a guest card. They gave me a copy of the guest card completed by Zanny, which contained Zanny's cell phone number. I then went to Universal Studios and met with investigator Leonard Tortora. After briefing him on why I was there, he checked several names in the database, including Zanny, Juliet, and Jeffrey, and came up with the following results. Casey was fired from Universal on April 24, 2006. She was not currently employed there. Jeffrey Hopkins, an alleged outcry witness, did work at Universal, but he was fired on May 13th. Juliette Lewis, another alleged outcry witness, was not found as a current or former employee of Universal Studios. Zanny, who Casey claimed was a seasonal employee, was not found as a current or former employee of Universal Studios. While with Leonard, I called Casey on the phone and put her on the speakerphone so we could all hear. Casey confirmed that she did continue to work for Universal at an event coordinator. She said her office extension was 407-224-104. Leonard said this was not valid extension and even tried calling it to no Avio. She said her direct supervisor was Tom Manley. Leonard indicated no Tom Manley was employed by Universal Studios. Leonard identified Tom Madison as the head of events department. Leonard called him and confirmed him that they did not have Casey listed as employee, either past or present. I asked Casey where her office was. She claimed she had her own office. She couldn't give me the building number or location. When asked if she had her current work identification card, she said she didn't know where it was. I asked Sergeant Allen to see if I could arrange to have someone go back to Hope Springs address to meet with Casey to see if she had agreed to come to Universal Studios. At 12:30, Sergeant Allen and Detective Appy Wells went to Hope Springs address and met with Casey, who agreed to accompany them to Universal Studios. Investigator Tortora agreed to assist us with trying to ascertain if it was possible Casey worked for Universal Studios but was not in the computer system. Once at Universal Studios, I met with the three at the employee entrance. Investigator Tortora was present. Casey did not have her ID. Explained to security officers at the entrance she was a current employee and lost her ID. When the security guard, Steve, asked who her supervisor was, she told him it was Tom Manley. When told no Tom Manley worked there, she gave no explanation. Investigator Tortora agreed to escort Casey to where she had said she worked. We followed her to the building nearby. Down the building in her hall, she walked with purpose and acted like she knew where she was going. Halfway down the hall, she stopped, turned, and told us she hadn't told us the truth. She was not a current employee. So this is kind of like the diagram. So this is where they took her. At the time, we found a small conference room in which to talk to Casey. This conversation also recorded. Prior to beginning this interview, we stressed that the door was unlocked and we were in the room for privacy only. She understood and agreed to speak with us on tape. In short, Casey was confronted with all the inconsistencies in her story and the fact that I had provided she had lied. She admitted she lied to me about the apartment. She admitted her ex-boyfriend, Ricardo, lived across this residence and thought she had stayed there occasionally since the child went missing. She never mentioned his address or name to us. She admitted she lied about being an employee at Universal, claiming that she thought she may have happened to find out that her child Kaylee or Zanny had visited Universal since June 9th. She admitted that she should have called the police that day the child went missing, and in not doing so, she failed to provide the victim with the care, supervision, and services necessary to maintain the child's physical or mental health. Casey still maintained that she last saw her daughter with Zanny on June 9, 2008 at South Conway Road address. It should have been noted that no time during any of this above interviews did Casey show any obvious emotions as to the loss of her child. She did not cry or give any indication that she was legitimately worried about her child's safety. So really, she had him going in a circus thing. She was telling them lies. They caught her lies. She showed no emotion. She didn't even show like, oh my God, like my daughter's missing, or I think this happened to my daughter. Nope. She was emotionless. She didn't care. She really didn't care. All right. So I am going to stop it right here because this is going to go on to part 2. So we are on an hour. So I'm going to put out a date for part 2 because part 2, we're really going to dig more deep into the case. I gave you a little background of who Casey Anthony was and a little bit about the case, but part 2, we're going to really dig deep and we're going to talk more about the case. We're going to talk more about the 911 calls, how they identified Kaylee's remains. And then part 3, we're going to do a special on Cindy and George Anthony, who are the parents of Casey Anthony. We're going to dig deep into them as well. And we're going to dig deep into the trials. We are going to cover the Casey Anthony trials. So this is going to be a 4 to 5 part series on the Casey Anthony case. Tonight, it was just a little bit of background about her and a little bit about the case. But when we come back, I'm going to put out the live date. What's this? Hold on. Okay, I don't know what that was. I'm going to put out the date for the live regarding part 2, because part 2, we're really going to dig into this case more, hear the 911 calls, see the crime scene photos, and much more. I'll put that tonight on my Discord. If you're not on my Discord, I suggest you join my Discord. Discord is completely free. I had people who asked me like, oh, do you got to pay for Discord? You don't. The only thing you pay for is Nitro Discord. You don't have to get Nitro Discord, but regular Discord is free. It's available in the App Store, Google Play, and for computer and laptop purposes. Join my Discord. I have new things coming soon. Besides Casey Anthony, I have another case we're going to talk about as well. So next time I come live, we're going to do live phone calls involving the case, because we're going to dig deep into it, and I want your guys' opinion. I want to know what you guys think. But leave me a comment tonight about what you think about this first part. We talked about Casey. Casey has been a manipulative liar since her early ages. Remember, she stole money from her parents. She stole from her parents. She lied to her friends. She lied to her parents saying like, hey, I'm about to graduate high school. She didn't graduate. She was a few credits away. She ended up dropping out. She told her friends lies about her dad. So we're going to really, really dig deep into the case and what happened to Kaylee next time. And then we're going to dig deep into Cindy and George and how George had similarities to Casey of lying. But it's just going to be a short little live tonight. Next live is going to be a long live because we got so many documents and videos to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's live. I'll put out the next live date right now on my Discord. I know I came on late. I was a little late coming on live. Next time I'll try to come on like around 8 o'clock Texas time. But I want to thank you all who was here. Thank all my replay crew. I want to thank everybody. We got new songs for the channel. So last time I played Turd's song that she made for me. This one, it's another song that was made for me by a friend. Shout out to them. So I'm gonna exit out with the song. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Thank you to my replay crew. Thank you to everybody who basically watches me. Make sure you like, subscribe. If not, it's okay. I love you guys. You guys are the best. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Today's your Sunday. I know for Janelle, today's her Sunday. Enjoy your Sunday. Be safe. I love you all, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
For the missing to survive, she brings their stories, their names to the light. Late nights with death in the heart of the night. Late nights with death in the heart of the night.